He sent me a message. Dad, I know you bought us a house, but my mother-in-law said you won't be here for Thanksgiving. I replied with one word. Fine. That night, I stopped being someone who could be milked for every last penny. The next morning, I took the house back. Then I took back everything I had ever given them, and I took my final step from which they still cannot recover. No one expected that the quiet, always helpful dad was capable of such a thing, especially them. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are right now. The leather folder sat on my passenger seat like a trophy. I had just walked out of the notary's office on Central Avenue, documents signed and sealed. $485,000 worth of generosity compressed into 20 pages of legal text. My house, well, formerly mine, now Michael and Jennifer's, or would be once the 30-day waiting period passed. I drove north on the I-10, hands loose on the wheel. I'd spent 5 years saving for this moment. 5 years of eating frozen dinners instead of steaks, driving the same pickup truck instead of trading up, skipping the fishing trips to Alaska I'd promised myself after selling my construction company. Every dollar had gone toward one goal, giving my son a real start, something solid beneath his feet. The Whole Foods on Camelback Road wasn't my usual stop. Too expensive, but this was Thanksgiving, and I wanted quality ingredients. I stood comparing yams when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Michael's name on the screen made me smile. Maybe you want to confirm what time I should arrive Thursday. I read the message once, then again, then a third time, waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Dad, I know you just bought us a house, but my mother-in-law doesn't want you coming Thanksgiving dinner. Jennifer thinks it's better this way. We'll see you another time. My thumb hovered over the screen. Around me, families loaded carts with ingredients for their own gatherings. Normal people preparing for normal holidays with people who wanted them there. I typed, after everything I've done, the house I just signed over, you're choosing her mother over your own father? Deleted it. Typed, I deserve better than this. Deleted it. Typed, we need to talk. Deleted that. 2. The phone felt slick in my palm. I'd paid for Michael's wedding 5 years ago. $35,000 for a ceremony Jennifer's parents couldn't afford but insisted upon. I'd paid for the honeymoon to Bali. Loaned him $15,000 for a car he promised to repay in 6 months. That was 3 years ago. Covered $8,000 in credit card debt he called a temporary rough patch. Bought $12,000 worth of furniture because Jennifer wanted everything new. And now Patricia, a woman I'd never met, didn't want me at dinner in a house I'd just purchased for her daughter. Excuse me, dear. Are you all right? You look pale. An elderly woman stood beside me, concern creasing her face. Fine, I said. My voice sounded mechanical. Just remembered something. I looked at my phone again. The cursor blinked in the empty message field. Instead of arguing, instead of begging, I typed one word. Okay, sent it. The shopping cart sat abandoned where I'd left it. I walked out into the parking lot. Inside my truck, I placed a leather folder on the dashboard. 20 pages. 5 years of sacrifice. One text message. I sat there for 20 minutes, just staring at that folder. Inside were documents transferring ownership of a house bought with retirement money. All of it handed over to a son who couldn't even fight his wife's mother for one dinner invitation. Another time, he'd written, not even an apology, not even his own words. Jennifer thinks. I shifted into reverse, then stopped. My hand found the glove compartment, pulled out the folder again. I opened it, scanned the first page. The notary's voice echoed in my memory. 30-day completion window, revocable under certain conditions. I'd barely listened then, too focused on the pride of providing. Now, those words meant something different. 30 days. Revocable. I closed the folder, placed it back on the dashboard, and shifted into drive. I had thinking to do. The house stayed dark, except for my office. I'd always kept good records, a habit from running Gray Construction for 30 years. Now, those files had spread across my desk like evidence at a trial. Bank statements, canceled checks, screenshots of text messages where Michael asked for help, Dad, hate to ask, but just until the next paycheck. Jennifer's really stressed about money. I started at 11 p.m. and worked backward. The pattern emerged quickly. Each time I'd helped, the calls grew less frequent, the visits shorter. June 2018, paid $8,000 toward debt. Michael called twice that month, then went 6 weeks without contact. September 2019, bought $12,000 worth of furniture. Thanksgiving that year lasted 90 minutes before Jennifer mentioned her mother's dinner party they needed to attend. The numbers accumulated into something obscene. I pulled out my calculator and ran the total. $230,000. $250,000. And I'd been uninvited from Thanksgiving. I opened the house transfer documents again. Transfer of property ownership shall be considered complete upon expiration of 30 days, provided no material change in circumstances occurs that would invalidate the donative intent. Material change in circumstances. Being uninvited from Thanksgiving by someone you just given a house to seem like a textbook example. The phone rang at 7 a.m. Michael. I let it ring 4 times. Make him wait. Dad, you awake? I am. Look, about yesterday. His voice carried forced cheerfulness. Patricia just want a cozy family thing. You understand? She's particular about holidays. Jennifer thought it would be easier if... Stop. I kept my voice level. A construction foreman's voice. I understand perfectly. Your mother-in-law, who I've never met, doesn't want me in the house I just purchased for you. The house I signed papers on yesterday. And you agreed to this. Silence on his end. Then, it's not like that. We'll do something with you later. Maybe the weekend after. And how much do you still owe me for the car, Michael? What? The question threw him. The car. $15,000. Plus the $8,000 for bills. Plus $12,000 for furniture. Should I continue? Those were gifts. His voice rose, defensive. You said we didn't need to. I said many things. I'm reconsidering them all. We'll talk soon. I ended the call before he could respond. The silence afterward felt clean. I opened my laptop and searched. Arizona law revoked gift and gratitude. Then, contract attorney Phoenix. By afternoon, I had an appointment. Robert Chen's office occupied the 12th floor of a glass tower. He looked the same as 5 years ago when I sold my company. Sharp suit, careful expression. I spread my documents across his conference table. The house transfer papers. The text message enlarged and printed. 10 years of financial records. Tell me about Arizona's gift revocation laws. I said. Robert tapped his pen against the pad. You're talking about Section 25 to 211, gross ingratitude. A donor can revoke a gift if the recipient demonstrates conduct that would justify disinheritance. Being uninvited from Thanksgiving after purchasing someone a house? That qualifies. Textbook example. He pulled a statute book from his shelf. The 30-day transfer window gives you legal standing. With this documentation, we filed today. I signed the revocation papers with the same pen I'd used 3 days earlier for the original documents. Different paperwork. Same blue ink. I want everything documented. I said, I may need more from you soon. Amanda Foster, the notary who'd handled the original transfer, filed the revocation with Maricopa County that afternoon. By morning, a certified letter was en route to Michael's workplace. 2 days later, I was in the parking garage beneath Robert's building when my phone buzzed. Michael. I let it ring twice. Hello, Michael. What the? His voice cracked. Dad, what is this? A revocation of gift? You can't do this. We've already told everyone. Jennifer's parents came to see the house. You told everyone before it was officially yours. I said. Poor planning. This is insane. Over one dinner? You're destroying our future over one holiday. No, Michael. You did that when you chose her mother over your father. I'm just correcting my mistake. I heard rustling sounds. Jennifer grabbed the phone. You manipulative old man. Her voice dripped venom. After everything we've done for you, the visits, dealing with your constant expectations, you think money means you own us. Everything you've done? I kept my tone flat. Let me refresh your memory. $35,000 for a wedding I wasn't consulted on. $15,000 for a car you still haven't repaid. $8,000 in temporary help that became permanent. $12,000 in furniture. And a house you'll never live in. That's what I've done. What exactly have you done? We included you in our lives. That should be enough. It wasn't. I disconnected. The garage went quiet. I sat there for 20 minutes, feeling the emptiness where something used to be. Not triumph, just absence. Like a tooth pulled. The house had been the opening move. But I wasn't done. The letter I'd asked Robert to draft, the loan repayment demand, would arrive by the end of the week. The certified letter arrived on Saturday morning. Robert had been thorough. Every loan itemized, every check copied, every text message where Michael promised just temporary dad attached as evidence. The total came to $35,000. Payment due within 60 days. My phone started buzzing that evening. Michael's name over and over. I let every call go to voicemail. First message, Dad, please. We can't pay $35,000 in 60 days. Our rent is $2,400 a month. Jennifer's student loans, we're barely making it. Please, can we just talk? Second message, you're punishing me for Jennifer's mother. That's not fair. I didn't want to uninvite you, but she insisted. Third message, fine, don't answer. But you should know, Patricia says we should sue you. Emotional distress. Financial manipulation. We're getting a lawyer. I deleted that one with particular satisfaction. Monday afternoon, Robert called. They consulted an attorney, he said, amusement in his voice. The lawyer apparently laughed him out of the office. Your documentation is airtight. They have no case. I expected as much. Patricia strikes me as someone who views courts as weapons rather than justice. You know her? Never met her. But I know her type. Thursday, I met Thomas right at a diner. Thomas had worked for me for 15 years. Good man. Bold in the same league as Michael. Ran into your son last week, Thomas said, looking uncomfortable. At Costco. He was with Jennifer and an older woman. Her mother, I guess, Patricia. Yeah, they were fighting. Jennifer was really letting him have it. Something about him needing to control his father. Fix this mess. Grow a spine. The mother was nodding along, adding comments. Called you some pretty harsh names, such as miser, manipulator, control freak. She was vicious, Stan. Michael just stood there taking it. Interesting. I set down my cup. The woman who convinced my son to exclude me from Thanksgiving calls me manipulative. The irony isn't lost on me. Thomas studied my face. What's going on, Stan? Michael said something about a house. I bought them one. Changed my mind. That simple. That simple. But Thomas's words stayed with me. Patricia calling me names didn't surprise me. But learning she'd been poisoning Jennifer against me, perhaps for months or years, that shifted my understanding. I thought Jennifer was a problem. Maybe I'd been looking at the wrong woman. Back home, I opened a new file. Patricia Morrison. I needed to understand who was really pulling the strings. The private investigator, Marcus, slid a manila folder across the table of the coffee shop in Tempe. Patricia Morrison, he said. 58. Divorced 2019. Operated a boutique clothing store in Chandler called Morrison's Elegance. Failed in 2023. I opened the folder. The first page showed a business closure notice, followed by supplier invoices stamped unpaid in red ink. She owes $38,000 to various suppliers. Another $22,000 on personal credit cards. She was evicted from her condo in August 2023. Marcus tapped the document. She's been living with your son's wife for 18 months. Rent-free. I flipped through the records. The financial collapse lay laid out like an autopsy. These are text messages, Marcus said, pointing to a stack of screenshots. Obtained legally through a shared cloud account. They go back 2 years. I read the first one. Your F-file is loaded. Make him pay for the house. He's retired. What else is his money for? Another from last Christmas. Don't let him control you with his money. Demand what you deserve. Old men need to be useful, or what's the point? My jaw ached from clenching. The financial pressure she's under explains the behavior, Marcus said. She needs him financially, which means she needs to control the relationship. Can't have you interfering with her meal ticket. I paid Marcus's fee plus a bonus. Drove home with a folder on my passenger seat, feeling the weight of validation settle over me like armor. That evening, I invited my sister Sarah and brother-in-law David over. I showed them everything. The house gift, the text message, the revocation, and then Patricia's report. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Not sadness, fury. Stanley, I knew Jennifer had changed, but I didn't realize Patricia has been poisoning her against you this whole time while living off them. Apparently, she convinced Jennifer I was trying to control them with money. Ironic, considering her motivation. David stood by the window. Michael needs to know about this. Does he know? I doubt it. Patricia works in shadows. But he's about to find out. Sarah pulled out her phone. I'm calling him right now. She walked to the living room. I heard her voice rising. Michael, it's Aunt Sarah. Your father showed us everything. The house, the money, Patricia's debts. Jennifer's mother is a manipulator with $60,000 in debt who's been living off your wife for 2 years. The whole family knows now, Michael. We're all ashamed of how you've treated him. By morning, the extended family network was buzzing. Cousin Jennifer texting Michael. We all know what you did to Uncle Stan. Aunt Margaret removing Jennifer from a family Facebook group. The social pressure built like water behind a dam. 3 weeks passed. The 60-day deadline for the loan repayment loomed 5 days away. Michael and Jennifer had $4,800 in savings. They needed $35,000. I learned later from Thomas what happened that Thursday evening. Jennifer sat at their dining table with every bill they owned. Michael stood behind her, watching her calculate their way out of a problem that had no solution. The bank said no, Jennifer said, panic in her voice. That's 3 banks, Michael. Our debt to income is too high. We need $35,000 in 7 days. What are we going to do? Sell the car, Michael said, his voice hollow. List the furniture. Borrow from your parents. My parents already think we're failures. And your father is destroying us. Patricia sat in the living room, pretending not to listen. She'd been making phone calls all day, reaching out to friends she claimed could help. Every call ended with excuses. She can't help right now, Patricia said, hanging up the phone with a forced smile. But I have other friends. No, you don't. Jennifer snapped. You have debts and excuses. You promised you could help us. You told me to stand up to Stanley, and now we're drowning because I listened to you. I was protecting you from his manipulation. He uses money to control people. Michael spoke quietly, dangerously. No, Patricia, you do. You've been living here rent-free for 18 months. You convinced Jennifer to demand things from my father while you contributed nothing. I want you gone by tomorrow. You can't throw me out. I'm Jennifer's mother. Jennifer stood up. Michael's right. Pack your things. Patricia left Saturday morning. By then, Jennifer had already posted her Lexus on every sales platform she could find. The listing price, $26,000, for $1,000 below market value. Desperation has a smell. Buyers recognize it. Tuesday afternoon, I saw Michael's Honda in my office parking lot. He sat there for an hour. Finally, at 5:30, I walked out. He got out his car, looking defeated. Dad, please, just hear me. Michael, you know we communicate through Robert now. We can't get the money. His voice cracked. The bank said no. We're selling Jennifer's car, selling furniture, but we'll still be short. Can we work out payments? A plan? Something. I didn't get out of my truck. Kept the window down, engine running. You had 60 days. You chose to spend 3 weeks panicking instead of acting. The deadline is Friday. Full payment or robber file suit Monday morning. Those are your options. I'm your son. You were my son when you excluded me from Thanksgiving. I said coldly, You were my son when you let Patricia manipulate your wife against me. You were my son when you spent 10 years treating me like an ATM. Now you're a debtor. Pay what you owe. I rolled up the window and drove away. Friday morning arrived. Deadline day. At 3:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Bank notification. Transfer received. $30,000. $5,000 short. Michael's email arrived minutes later, explaining they needed 30 days for the remainder. The words read like a hostage negotiation. Desperate. Careful. I called Robert. They sent 30. 5 short. Create a formal loan agreement for the shortfall. 8% interest. Monthly installments. 12 months. That's punitive, Stanley, Robert said. Draft it. I learned later how they scraped it together. Jennifer's parents gave $10,000, a loan with interest. They borrowed $5,000 from friends, signing a promissory note. The Lexus sold for $15,000, lowballed by a dealer who smelled blood. They had bled themselves dry. Monday night, Michael signed the digital loan agreement for the remaining $5,000. He was now contractually obligated to pay me $450 monthly for 12 months, not as son to father, but as debtor to creditor. The transformation was complete. 6 weeks passed. Payments arrived on schedule. Michael's reputation in town had shifted. He was no longer the successful young manager, but the guy who screwed over his dad. Then, on a Thursday evening, my inbox chimed. An email from Michael. Subject line, no excuses. Dad, I understand we were wrong. Not just about Thanksgiving, but about everything. The years of taking without appreciating. Treating you like an obligation. Letting Jennifer and Patricia influence me. I don't know if I can fix this, but I want to try. Not because I want something from you, but because you deserve better than the son I've been. I read it 3 times. No requests. No justifications. Just acknowledgement. I didn't reply. Let him sit with it. 2 weeks later, Michael showed up at my office again. He parked and waited. I watched him from the window for 20 minutes. He didn't check his phone. Just sat there, head down. I walked down to the lobby. Michael stood up. He looked smaller. The entitlement was gone, stripped away like old paint. Dad, he said, thank you for not turning me away. Conference room. I said, 5 minutes. We sat across the table. I gestured for him to speak first. I don't know where to start, he said, hands twisting together. I used you for years. I treated you like an ATM. I let Patricia poison my perspective. And when you revoked the house, I was angry because I convinced myself I deserve your money without your respect. His voice cracked. I was wrong about everything. What changed? I asked. The consequences or the understanding? Tears came then. Real ones. Both. At first, it was panic. But somewhere in selling our car, borrowing from friends, I realized you weren't punishing me. You were showing me the truth, that I'd become someone my mother would be ashamed of. I leaned forward. You're my son, Michael. I've never stopped loving you, even when I revoked the house. That was love, not cruelty. Letting you continue using me would have been cruelty to both of us. Can you forgive me? Eventually, maybe. But forgiveness doesn't mean things go back to how they were. You want a relationship with me? Earn it. Show me month after month that you've changed. No grand gestures. Just respect. Michael nodded, wiping his eyes. I understand. Jennifer wants to apologize too. She's going to counseling with me. She knows she played a huge role in this. I'm glad. But understand this. This is your last chance. I'm 62 years old. I don't have time for cycles of betrayal. If this happens again, I'm done permanently. It won't happen again, he promised. Then let's start small. Coffee next week. 1 hour. We'll see how it goes. 3 weeks of gradual reconnection followed. 2 coffee meetings. 1 lunch. Small steps. Then, a dinner invitation to their apartment. The apartment complex looked worn. Michael's modest Honda occupied a spot. No Lexus. Jennifer answered the door. Stanley, thank you for coming. The apartment interior told the story of consequences. IKEA furniture. Blank walls. A folding dining table. It's not fancy, Dad, Michael said, but the company's what matters. Fancy never mattered to me, I said. Dinner was simple. Roasted chicken. Midway through, Jennifer set down her fork. Stanley, I need to say something. I'm sorry, not just for Thanksgiving, but for years of taking advantage. I let my mother poison my perspective. I treated your gifts as entitlements. I was wrong and I'm ashamed. I watch your eyes. Genuine emotion. What changed, Jennifer? Both, she said without hesitation. I realized I had traded your respect for her approval, and her approval was worthless. Michael reached for her hand. Dad, you taught me something these past months. Strength isn't just providing for people. Sometimes it's refusing to. You showed dignity by walking away. I want to be that kind of strong. I appreciated the words, but I reminded them again this was their last opportunity. We understand, Jennifer said. You shouldn't have to say this at all, but we've earned the warning. We finished dinner talking about lighter things. Michael asked what I'd been doing. Actually, I said, I bought property. A small cabin in the mountains near Prescott. My own space. That sounds perfect for you, Jennifer said. Will you? Would you ever invite us up there? Maybe someday. I said honestly, it's a place for people I trust, and trust is still being rebuilt. But it's possible. At the door, Michael extended his hand. Same time next month? Next month, I said, shaking it. We'll see how it goes. One dinner at a time. I drove home through the quiet Phoenix streets. The revenge had served its purpose, not destroying them, but teaching consequences and restoring my dignity. I didn't feel triumph, just peace. I'd learned to set boundaries, to value myself enough to walk away from disrespect. The mountain cabin waited for the weekend. My space, my rules, my peace. Michael and Jennifer would have to earn an invitation there. But tonight showed they might actually deserve one eventually. I'd learned the hardest lesson. Sometimes love means walking away, and dignity means deciding who walks back. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.